Hi, I'm streaming now. Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you. Hello, I see the assassins have failed. I am General Griswold Gaius Grim of the 1st LARP Aggression Protocol, and this is Sunday Service live stream, The Beggar and the Fountain. The Beggar and the Fountain part is a little thing I'm going to stitch together, pull out, and release as a video. And then there's some other topics in the description I hope to go into after I get over the Beggar and the Fountain part. Will be I'll drop the link in the stream in case anybody wants to make this a chat thing. Hello and welcome. This is some pretty, it'd be defense against the dark arts if I was giving you any defense against it. So the saving throws might be important today. Remember, Ambada, you get to choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart as the basis for your savings throw. If it's over 10, you take half damage from the mind control. And if you've commented on a recent live stream, you get a +3 to the roll of your choice. Choose! Survivalists with a 18 tonight. Socialists, 4. Sophists, lovers of wisdom, 2. This one's kind of targeted at you. And heart folks, pair of 7s makes 14. Hello and welcome. Need lyrics for this line. Like that part, that should be a verse. Nolan made that. I helped. Hey! Welcome. Now we're going to do the Beggar and the Fountain part, which I didn't make a separate thing from the Sunday service one. And as you may notice, I'm reusing the heart-headed monster party guy who we're never going to fight, because look at him. He's adorable. Special thanks to Shadow Cabal production executives, patrons, Substack, buy me a coffee, people. And anybody else who supports me in all the ways and shapes and forms, such as buying these fancy Shadow Cabal hoodies, as in the description box below. So, the Beggar and the Fountain. It starts officially way back when I got involved with sorting. You become familiarized with Alan Moore, and then Pajot said the thing when he was with the comic book guy, and all of that those are the old things, and I'm gonna dig them up because I'm gonna tell you the story of how we got to the end part of the Beggar and the Fountain thing to get us there. The most recent occurrence to lead us off in the story is my talk with Jean Vareghi, in which some of the following things were said. There's the second part I'm going to show you is what I want to show you, and then here's the first part just because.
Going on, and that is that seems to be confirming argument and evidence for the ancient but still viable position of Neoplatonism.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said the Plato word. First of all, it hasn't been going really great with the Christians. So paintball for Plato. Paintball for Plato. What do you think?
Paintball for Plato? Is that what you said?
Yes. I'm trying paintball for Jesus, and they're not buying it. But I really think
Can both in terms of format, production values, the content, and the way that learn. And it's like right. And he claims to have the capacity for soul flight, which of course is a shamanic thing. That are sort of semi-legend or shamanism like that everyone more a bit
with him. Does he have a secret? Pythagoras.
Yes. What do I think of him?
Why is he not included? Does he have a secret? Did he have a secret society? What do you know of this man? You know about a lot of his compatriots, I understand. What's up with him?
Well, I did talk about Pythagoras quite a bit in Awakening from the Meaning Crisis, but there's a lot more about Pythagoras. He's a really interesting figure. He's liminal. He seems to be, everything I'm going to say is controversial because there's so little direct evidence that every conclusion is underdetermined by the evidence. But I think there's good scholarly work showing that he seems to represent the tail end of sort of an influx of shamanism or shamanism-like practices out of Thrace coming into Greece. Because right before him, there's all these sort of divine men that are sort of semi-legendary, and they clearly have sort of shamanic things. And Pythagoras does weird shamanic stuff. He does the thunderstone ceremony where he goes into a cave, and think about Plato. He goes into a cave for 28 days, and he's died, and he's reborn. And it's like, right. And he claims to have the capacity for soul flight, which of course is a shamanic thing. And reincarnation, also a very prototypical shamanic theme. But he also seems to have been influenced by some of the pre-Socratics that's taking place in Greece. He actually coins the word philosophy and cosmos. And he does seem to make this discovery about music and math, and start to make geometry a thing, but not just a thing the way it is for us, but a sacred practice, an imaginal practice.
No, I have no idea what the jackass Grimgris said after that part. However, in response to that happening on the Grimgris channel, I received a link to this document here. Temple and Timaeus in The Great High Priest 2003 by Dr. Margaret Barker. If therefore it should be shown to you that Plato and his successors have agreed in their philosophy with the Hebrews, it is time to examine the date at which he lived and to compare the antiquity of the Hebrew theologians and prophets with the age of the philosophers of Greece. Eusebius, preparation for the gospel. Pythagoras brought his teaching to Greece along with the rest of the Kabbalah. If I declare that Kabbalah and Pythagoreanism are of the same stuff, I will not be departing from facts, says Johann Reuchlin on The Art of Kabbalah, Book 2, back in 1517. So that I received as a response to the Pythagoras part that I just showed you from the John Vervaeke things. And after that, so that was like, I don't know, 10 days ago, a week ago or something. After that, this comes across. Okay, yesterday. This was yesterday. This was yesterday. Over on Twitter, our good friend Nate Heil, the guy up in the top left, right next, over at Grail Country, was going through his channel, and he said, people seem to like it when Grail and Grim team up. This is my most viewed cinema. And like, check it out. It's like almost 7K. But it's because of that title, right? Resurrection, Power Swah, Technobabble, and Project Bluebeam. But So I rewatched it because I don't remember things, and there was this part.
Like, what does that look like to the Orthodox Church? And so this is his appearing, right? But his appearing is it's God is always coming down. And
Nope. All right, I'm going to take a time out and say hello to everybody because I'm going to probably have to cut the video there and find the right spot. Welcome. How diddly do? Answerman with the heart, Janice. It's late Monday. How am I? I am happy to be of service. Was that Plato? No. Hello, Rillian, Red Pill. Good to see you. And Frag, thank you for being in the hive mind today. We are doing a little section called The Beggar and the Fountain. The Beggar and the Fountain as part of the Sunday service, after which I will drop the invite into the room, and we can do the chatting and the talking and while we go over the other parts. Now, we're at the part where Grail Country tries to talk about something interesting, and I shut them up. Let's see if I can find it.
I found this really, especially in light of our conversations, Nate, on the Apocalypse of St. John, because God's intention for creating the world was completed at the cross, right? And so when the appearing, the unveiling, the apocalypse, the revelation of God is that he's already here. Okay? The world is divine. And what happens is that divine comes to the fore. And the intention for creation comes to the fore. It's a slow unveiling. And God is not coming down.
It's like when Grimm.
Whoa. Did you just say the Orthodox view is that God is not coming down?
I got distracted and wanted to put the frog up. Look, it's the Christmas cane frog. Isn't it adorable? Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you. Okay, sorry. No, I'm still.
On another level.
No, not yet. This part still. Let's see. Maybe we can find it the transcript way. I looked it up once, and then I guess it hit play, and it's not at that part. Maybe it should be what, here? Oh, son of a.
To it, right? So he does eat a fish.
And then.
Thomas is able to put his fingers in the holes.
Come on.
So he's able to manifest in that way.
I'm having some technical difficulty. I accidentally muted this tab. Maybe I'll just paste a new one over here.
Coming back.
And
what does that look like?
Share it again.
And so this is his appearance, right?
All right, what am I looking for? Grim, you're looking for the part where he says Africa? Africa, maybe. No, it's not Africa. He doesn't say Africa. What does he say? Oh, peanuts. It's a word I don't know. I say, no one wants to. No one. Son of a. Does he say Pythagoras? No. Does he say Kabbalah? Maybe. Yes, here it is. It's a 21 and I'm at 25. Okay. Sorry. You can't hide behind it if you're not in the middle. There you go. Okay, everybody, welcome back. here's the part I meant to show you for the part that's going in the fancy pants there Sunday service. I mean the Beggar and the Fountain recording. It's gonna be a video tomorrow. Yeah, that's 30 seconds of that, you know. Okay, there you go.
Of the bread and the wine, this is my body, this is my blood. He's serious.
Well, there is the mushroom.
He enters into everything.
I mean, there are people running around saying that the whole Christian thing was a mushroom cult, and that would explain any appearances post to and also that
it doesn't. You don't need it to be a mushroom cult, though.
No.
I mean,
yeah, it's that sweet anti-donut they won't give me.
I think like most of the mushroom cult evidence comes from the south of France during the time that the Albigensian heresy was going on.
Aha! See this? This is the edge of the rabbit hole.
Probably not an accident. During the time that the Albigensian heresy was going on.
The Albigensian heresy.
Probably the Albigensians.
Nobody knows what that word means.
The Albigensians.
Stop it.
Okay.
Well, wait, I want to hear that. The Albigensians, what?
Well, that's also the part of France where Kabbalah first appears too, by the way. But I actually don't think I don't really think that Kabbalah develops under the influence of Gnosticism, as some people have suggested. I actually think it does have genuinely ancient roots, and I think the New Testament is part of the evidence for that.
What do you guys make of?
Now, see, wasn't it great of me to change topic right there back then, so that we can be curious about it now? Oh, well, the savings throws are at the front of this one, Paul. We're getting into some pretty dark stuff. Speaking of which, the next part is this from this morning.
Which it's kind of a rediscovery of that, which is, to me, very fruitful and full of fertility. Speaking of creation. So here, again, that leads to our next question. You know, you've had these incredible insights, and I mean, when I wrote my second book, my first book touches on sotheology. The second book is explicitly about sotheology, but I hadn't read your work yet. And when I did, I said, I'm gonna have to put out a second edition and rewrite the introduction because Margaret Barker is speaking to something that I didn't know existed.
So the way he said that right there makes me think that she's probably the lady that wrote this thing I showed you guys earlier, which is kind of neat. But is this even the part, or did I do it again and I need to rewind to get to where I want to go? I bet you that's probably what happened. Let's assume so and go to 14 minutes.
Dust coagulate into clay.
Yes, it is. It's a little further back.
In that
Share this tab instead. Freddie didn't make. Oh, let's everybody pray for Freddie who does that sort of thing. Hey, Lenny. But well, maybe a little bit, but you know, Kabbalah.
that great liturgical poem, I could source them all in the Great Lady of the Temple, going back to the time of Isaiah. Now, again, that cannot have been the product of a hymn writing research group. That was a living tradition. And we have got to trace these streams through. I just wish we could recruit more Catholics, particularly, who've got what's the word I want? A kind of cradle-given sense of Mary, who could spot this better than I can, because I'm very much a visitor to this area, and I can do the scholarly stuff and say, oh, look, you know, there's one of those, one of those, one of those. But I don't actually, because of my upbringing background, I don't have an instinctive feel for it. And that's something.
Now stay tuned, everybody. In a moment, she's going to say the trigger word, the trigger phrase that resulted in today's The Beggar and the Fountain part of this stream.
Something you do have to grow up with and in. So the wisdom literature, we've got to bewail the fact that there are no capital letters in Hebrew. And so wherever we find wisdom, it's assumed to be Psalm 104. With wisdom, you have made them all. We just assumed that it was the creator who was having a good idea at the time. But if there had been capital letters, we would have known what we find in Proverbs chapter 8, that the great lady with her title Wisdom at the time is the co-creator. And that raises all sorts of amazing questions. And we look at things like the story of creation in Genesis chapter 2. And Adam is formed from dust. And what is it that makes the dust coagulate into clay? Well, it's something that the authorized version of the Bible translates as mist, but it's actually a word we don't know what it means, the Hebrew word. But the Greek chose to translate it the fountain. And this
Dum, dum, dum. So, like, my brain is all primed with this Kabbalah and Pythagoras stuff, right? And then she says fountain. And like what I know of the Kabbalah actually comes from Alan Moore, which is interesting. And so here's what you should probably know about. Well, this corner is familiar with Pajot, so let's let Jonathan Pajot introduce Alan Moore for this section.
Comics is something that I've been kind of diving into.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
we're working on a comic
awesome.
now. I mean, I'm not the artist. It's someone else. But I wrote it with my brother, and so yeah, I'm excited to see. I think the potential of comics is really great for someone who's interested in symbolism, and it's been taken by the dark side, I would say. You've got people like Alan Moore, who's just has such an amazing grasp on symbolic laying out of symbolic structures within a page, and so it's like I just see him as my nemesis or something. Like we need to take that back.
That's what you're shooting for. Nice.
Got to shoot high because he's really good. He's really good at doing that.
Totally. Yeah.
On my 40th birthday, rather than merely bore my friends by having anything as mundane as a midlife crisis, I decided it might be more interesting to actually terrify them by going completely mad and declaring myself to be a magician. This had been something that had been coming for a while. It seemed to be a logical end step in my career as a writer. And the problem is that with magic, being in many respects a science of language, you have to be very careful what you say. Because if you suddenly declare yourself to be a magician without any knowledge of what that entails, then one day you are likely to wake up and to discover that that is exactly what you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alan Moore. Yes, that is the Owen Cyclops interview, Free Willian. Good eye. Believe it. Much love from Pastor Paul Vanderklay to the Hive Mind. At least it's reciprocally opening. Oh wait, it came from here. I can't believe I'm watching Seth with BBK. Okay, so we're almost done. Now, as I said, my familiarity with the Kabbalah primarily comes from Alan Moore's work, Promethea. And so here's the synopsis of the part that was triggered by the mention Margaret made of the fountain, which I will remind you now was, oh no, I won't, because I just hit X instead of clicking on it. but it's back there. You saw it. You saw it, right? Okay. Yo, you're right. Where's the brand bubble? There we go. There we go. Virtually not alone with Pastor Paul and friends. Remember, Embody, there is no agency. Oh, I'm two-faced. Two-faced. So, I have for you the exposure I have to the phrase "beggar and the fountain," as demonstrated in the synopsis of the Promethea book. I'm about to show you pictures from on tarothermeneutics.com. The stars are but thistles. Barbara, who is one who used to get possessed by the spirit of Promethea, and Sophie's the new person getting possessed by the spirit, and they're on this journey through the Kabbalah, and they arrive at the Ath, where they are right off the map, finding the beggar and the fountain. They encounter Crowley, Alistair, twice, once in female form riding a camel. When I'm like this, you can call me Alice. And then performing apparently some dirty thing he did in the desert. I also, they disintegrate and wind up at Binah. Now, depart from this book, which I have conveniently left here, and why the beggar and the fountain for me are such a thing is because he presented it like this, as like what the universe was before the Kabbalah. Like it used to be the beggar and the fountain. And so, like, of all the research he presented and all the stupid evil stuff, whatever, the mystery of the beggar and the fountain has always stuck with me. And then that lady says the trigger, and there's the nemesis angle, and all this is out there. This is all, like, we talk about interdenominational Christian fighting, but there's a whole bunch of really salty stuff that I guess is gonna be my department. So there, ladies and gentlemen, that's the beggar and the fountain section of today's Sunday service. It's a rabbit hole. I don't know. I'm pointing you to the edges of some rabbit holes. And now, without further ado, here you go, guys. You can come play. We'll be moving on to the next portion. If anybody is interested, which is Ophiuchus. No, it's not Ophiuchus, but we can talk about it. Okay. Let me see. Ophiuchus is the 13th constellation we're currently in. And this is the video I almost made before, but ended up not making. So there's that. It's from, if I guess the sun rises in it, I don't know. It's about 17 hours right ascension on the celestial equator. It's the brightest star is Rasselhag, the head of the serpent collector, with a magnitude of 2.1. And this was interesting to me because it's like the 13th constellation, and we're in it now. But it's a serpent bearer that's represented by Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine. He's depicted as holding a serpent, a symbol of renewal. And hey, toots. There's a but what was really what I pulled away from this research that stuck with me was this part down here. Let's see if I can highlight it. A similar but unrelated emblem, the caduceus, with its wings stabbed and intertwined serpents, is frequently used as a medical emblem, but is without medical relevance, since it represents the magic wand of Hermes or Mercury, the messenger of the gods and the patron of trade. And at the Asclepius staff, with only one snake, one bronze serpent raised up in the desert, is this true staff of medicine. And apparently here is the iconographer hot stuff of Asclepicles. It's from an ivory dipshit, 5th century in Liverpool. Liverpool! Oh, by Christmas? That's a whole week from now, Toots. I mean, if I don't get monetized, review canceled, and channel deleted by the end of the year, have I really succeeded? Have I really? Remember, Embody, you deleted the one with the sound grim, so now you have to say it every time or they hear silence. Chad, my hero. Say words to people for me, my man. Did you know you were on already, Chad?
Oh yeah, but I was just trying to connect my Bluetooth because it was all wacko.
Apparently, there's someone claiming to be Keck himself in the chat in the stream now.
What's up,
Oh,
gentlemen?
nice. What up?
So yeah, just wanted to come say hi and finally meet you guys.
It's
Yeah.
terribly interesting to me that you have the cojones to come on the stream wearing the moniker of a god.
Very old account from way back. So
Well,
yeah.
I can't really stay long. I can only smoke a cigarette, and then I'm gonna go probably watch some television with my wife before we go to bed. But I wanted to come on and say hello and probably be the voice piece for Freewheeling in there, who he says something like, "I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what the F is going on." So I thought I'd just ask the question of what the F is going on.
Oh, well, you were kind enough to come and show people how easy and not scary it is to be part of a Grim Grizz stream. So thank you for that, Chad.
Yeah.
Please express our appreciation that your wife hasn't left you.
No, I mean, seriously.
The fellas say thanks for not leaving him.
Yes.
We are very thankful of that.
Yeah, thanks for all the content, Chad. Definitely brightens the day.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Apparently,
I guess
you have sartorial style. I take it as a compliment.
Sweet. Well, if I can make a request, I put a couple clips in the Clipstream in the Broken Clock Tower Discord. There at the bottom.
Like a boss.
The question is, does anybody know what this guy is saying? I don't know if you want to play him or not, but I get the feeling that, I don't know, there's some weird stuff going on. So maybe that's what you're talking about here. I don't know.
I will look into it. I was going to push Shepherdy, but I'll do that instead. And that's what you get.
Do you have anything you want to say in conclusion?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of answers that have happened for Shepherdy, so that's cool. We're going to wrap that up shortly and then try and put something together. But other than that, toodles.
Later, Chad.
All right, we have an official. I thought Keck was green. So are you? Who are you if you're not Keck? Who do we recognize you from the Hive Mind chat as? Perhaps.
Oh, I started hanging out with you guys a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 months back. Started bouncing some memes, trying to fulfill what was laid out quite a while ago. So
are you the
quite
in the clock tower? With the Throwback Thursdays?
There was some pasta that was spread. So different people got different versions of the original content. It was part of the strategy, basically to
You're experimenting on us.
Well, it was sort of like not being ready. So a plan had to be devised in terms of how to walk away and then be able to come back and bring everybody together in a big participation. And there was like this huge group effort. It just popped up. It was very clearly people who had been working on something for quite some time. And they approached me to start going over some stuff. And I mean, this went on for like a week or two out of a comment section. And all these people were coming in and they were doing like psych evaluations, and they were asking me to leave platform and go check out some other stuff. But
so strangers from the internet are asking you to do things that include leaving platforms and being evaluated.
Yeah, like I think they contacted a bunch of people in my personal life to verify details and information and stuff. And basically I had to set it as this kind of like a puzzle for myself to unlock. So part of what spurred the original conversation was me going over this type of consciousness hacking, where I was basically learning computer science through a more primitive version of Christianity, just sort of like directly. And with that,
like praying in your closet. What is this primitive version of Christianity? I don't want to unpack that. Immediately.
What?
Immediately.
Well, I had never really learned about like Gnosticism or like the split that occurred at the Council of Nicaea.
There was a split. Okay.
Oh, and I guess like Roots of Christian Mysticism is a book that people have been, and I'm like watching it be read, and I'm remembering like a whole bunch of the stuff that I went through. So anyway.
Okay, you're talking like you're having out past life overlays from Gnostic times?
No, I would say more like, okay, in our more modern version of Christianity, in a lot of ways, the church stands in between you and God. So it's sort of like you go into a church, you kind of pass, your perspective is passed through a filter of whoever's leading that church. And they're sort of the intermediary in between you and God. Now, obviously not all pastors or preachers or whatever you want to call them are deliberately teaching it that way.
Well, there's a lot of church with a history of where that's what church was like. So we can take it like that and keep going.
Okay. And the alternative, what I mean in the more primitive version, is that it's already inside of you. And your job is basically to start unpacking that and unfolding it and open up a deeper line of communication. And I think that if you're successful in that, you can start doing kind of like a data transfer. And so for me, how I experienced it was learning some mathematics that I would consider way beyond what I could do myself. Like people definitely make fun of me.
Were you in a meditative state and downloaded these mathematics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like sit, like a lot of people think about like a Buddhist style of meditation. I much prefer to pace or sometimes lay down. But I'll go pretty regularly, especially back then.
Would it be safe to say that something not recognizable as self put math in your head?
I think that is absolutely correct.
And you made some comment on a YouTube video about it, and then were evaluated for psychiatric conditions.
Well, the platform was Yahoo, and it was a series of comments that ultimately, I think, got them to come approach me. For one thing, like the whole
identify them at this point, please.
So that's what I would guess whoever these people were. Like, I know that Kekistan is a thing, and it had started before that, and I just coincidentally had the same name.
Okay, so you were approached at first by one, then a couple more, and later you determined they were part of a single unit that had approached you, but it came in trickles, yeah?
Yeah, well, like I said, this went on over the course of a week or two. And so basically I used to troll the Yahoo comment section really hard. And I would do it in a way where
like
I was trying to get what?
The comment section on news articles or
yeah, on the news articles.
Okay.
And I would do it in a way that was encouraging the participation from others. And then I was also teaching a kind of a unique communication style for how to effectively change people's minds through something like a comment section. And that's to take something that's a really moderate expression and describe it in the most offensive way you possibly can. And this works really effectively.
Face it.
What?
Like blackface it?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, well, like we're familiar with steel man and straw man. It's kind of like crap man.
This is like shitpost man.
Okay.
So let me give you an example. I really enjoy learning from the MGTOW community. And in there, it's all men, no women. So one thing that kind of
means men going their own way, as I understand it, for anyone not familiar.
That's correct. And within this community, because there are no women to compete for, it really changes the dynamics on like interracial communication. So basically everyone has a male perspective. And so it's sort of expected that everyone can just sort of like make fun of each other or, you know, say whatever it is that you would like to say. It really just reduces the friction a ton. Anyway, within that, a lot of the Black guys like to discuss perspective, like a Black perspective, and say that issues they are facing are unique to them.
Yeah, well, speaking from the victimhood status is like part and parcel of communicating in public now. It's like as a dude sitting on the internet, here's my perspective. So it's not surprising they do it there too.
No, I wouldn't. It's definitely not like that type of SJW type.
Okay, so how is
it is like the opposite of that.
Variant.
So how I would say is that it's sort of like how people will use like the racial name to be like Chad or Stacy or Tyrone or, you know, things like that. In that way, they're describing certain archetypes. And so the Black guys, right, everybody's just kind of making fun of the women as a huge part of it. And so you might think of it as like, okay, well, the white guys are making fun of the white women for these specific reasons. The Black guys are making fun of the Black women for these specific reasons. They're not necessarily the same reasons. And there is overlap and they'll see them differently. And so
I can see why you can find it an informative place if that sort of thing is happening.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Anyway, to get back to the point I was getting at, because they'll say it's like unique problems or whatever, the Black guys will want to, you know, like have their own areas. Like there's like a couple subdivisions, I guess you could call it, that are like specifically for Black only. Nobody has a problem with this at all. But everyone agrees that if you're going to have something like that, where you can have like a Black only area, you should have a white only area. There's no demand for it. There's like nobody really wants it.
I could make an argument.
But I'm not saying it would be a problem if it. I'm just saying like.
No, I could make an argument against having a white one if you have a Black one. I'd say no, you can't have a white one. You can have a Jew, an Italian, Irish one, but you can't have a white one. Fuck that.
Well,
and
what would be the
saying that the Black ones aren't represented enough that you have separate ones for South Africa and so for South America. But no, yeah, I'm just saying I could make a case. I'm not making it, but there's a case.
It wouldn't be a strong case. And what I'm getting at is, so I said, describe something in the most offensive way possible. I would then describe that MGTOW community by saying, I really enjoy MGTOW because they support white-only spaces. It has nothing to do with what I'm actually trying to describe. But what happens is people will get immediately triggered. So they'll get super emotional. They flip out.
I used to call it amygdala hijack, but then I found out that term came from the guy who wrote the emotional EQ book, and I don't want to associate with him. But yes, I know the triggered thing. It's well researched.
Okay,
and the reason that's supposed to be a thing is because when you're triggered there, it like shuts down the front of your brain and pulls you back into the basal parts, where all your smart, don't do anything stupid stuff just shuts down because you've been triggered.
That's okay. So we're going to definitely get into that here in a minute. So what I was saying is that by describing it as the most offensive way first, every claim you make after that is more moderate. And you're still describing the exact same perspective, so you always have logical consistency.
And so as you reduce your claims, they feel like they're making progress with you.
Correct.
But
And
really they're coming closer to your original opinion.
exactly. And the reason for doing it is what you just described, all of the set conditioning that's occurring. What it's doing is it's telling you to have an emotional reaction to something based on the terms that they want to condition you to. So
Turns, you said?
Oh, what was that?
You said turns or terms?
Terms with an M. So they want you to get offended by something. So you're kind of like hacking their consciousness in a not malicious way. It's like a friendly way where I'm saying, I don't care what opinion you have on something. What I am not interested in is the conditioning that the outside world placed upon you. So we need to find some way to get around that before you can actually describe to me your perspective. Your perspective could agree with me or it could disagree with me, just as long as it's not that short-circuited, what you said before, where it's like, people have whatever their opinion is, but then they also have the ability to just emotionally detach and shut down and just that sort of a thing.
Right.
And that conditioning is uniform across everyone. So once you understand how it works, it doesn't help to go meet another person and have them show you the same conditioning again.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's see where they approached you and had you go undergo studies because of what you were doing on Yahoo, which is what you just described.
Yeah. So it was creating a mimetic effect. And I didn't actually know what memes were because I had never used the internet for any sort of like social. I just had always viewed it as like the world's biggest library, and that you could also.
At the point that these people are having you evaluated, are you still doing these regular downloads of mysterious stuff, or?
Well, they actually started getting way more intense because the people that I was talking to were they were aware of what it was that I was speaking about. And the other thing is that it was when I say it was creating a mimetic effect in the comments section, meaning other people were adopting the strategy that I was recommending, and they were having tremendous success with it. And the people that came in had seen that, and then they were trying to track down where the original account was that it was coming from.
Wow.
And this was like attached to like the Jung Society and some pretty important critical thinkers. And there's a whole big, deeper thing that goes with it, which I don't really know how much I can talk about right now. Because I refused to come and join, it put me in kind of a gray area because most people who are allowed into this.
Like, you're not going to say the oaths? This is the part where you say the oaths, man. Why aren't you saying the oaths? And like, I don't do oaths, bro. And that kind of gray area or what?
Well, just because there's a process to follow, and I had basically started the process, but then I refused to finish it. So with that, I was given some information that was to kind of entice me in, but because I didn't make it all the way, then there was some concern over
does he know enough we have to kill him?
What?
Where they ask themselves if you know enough whether or not they have to kill you.
There were at points there were definitely being made aware that violence was within scope of what these people were operating under.
Wow.
So
thanks for being on my YouTube channel. There is remember Embody.
Well, okay, so the thing was
gotta run it. Oh, shit. Remember, Embody. There is no agency. We want what's best for you. Thanks. I had to.
No problem. So anyway, there was a time frame set with it, and so we cleared the time frame this this year. And then there's like an account, and it's linked with these commands, and they were written as a special to be used during Advent. So there's like this
During what?
Christian during Advent, like the Christian season of Advent.
Okay, so somehow we got to you have special commands on a Yahoo account.
No, so
Or
this is what I'm saying.
Advent?
In the secondary system that I was supposed to go join,
Okay,
there's like a whole like, it is crazy.
you get bonus. You get more toys than most people.
Definitely, this is
Okay.
like insider, like inside world stuff.
Oh, and are you willing to tell us the point that you refused to go past?
Yeah, when they were, so what happened was, because it was on the comment section and there were people from the inside that knew about it, some of them were coming over and like giving me warnings and hints and things about that they had kind of done this previously, and some pieces seemed like a trap, and people were talking about that you were kind of like, if you went through their process, you were sort of signing away a part of yourself that you really couldn't get back. It's kind of like making a deal with the devil.
So you got warned about going too far in the process, but was there the next step that you didn't do? Was there something about that step that bothered you, or you just were wary already?
It was mostly the people that were coming to warn me. Okay. And they gave me a series of just like pieces of information to follow. And the thing is, then they wound up sending somebody to come basically still assist me, because there was like a big job for me to do. And so they still needed me to train. And so they wound up jumping over onto Facebook, and I met this, and I think this is related to the Vervaeke circle stuff. Like this guy then starts like following me on Facebook and having lots of conversations and trying to get me to engage. And he's like, I'm this prophet. Like, you gotta listen to what I'm saying. I'm this prophet. I'm like, okay, man, like, I'll hear you out, whatever. And he's trying to get me to read a book. And like you, I'm not like, oh, I'll just read something because somebody told me to read it. And I was like, oh, I got all this stuff to do.
If they knew, they'd be like, you know what, dude, you sound a lot like the guy in this book. And then maybe I'd be interested enough to read it. Go ahead.
But well, what he ended up doing to convince me to read, he started making these paintings of me. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It was like all of a sudden some guy on the internet is like making these like really sophisticated like series of portraits, and he's putting all of this like what do they call it? Like sacred geometry on it. And they're like, this was like the craziest, and because I was talking about that consciousness hacking stuff, we like built it into the design. So there's like thousands of people that have been working on this on the internet, like behind the scenes over the last decade plus. It is nuts. People are because people make money off of it. So it's not like this is purely it's just.
I'm just getting through the story, man. I'll save what I think about it all till afterwards. But because right now I'm at like, then this guy started making pictures of me, so I did what he asked.
Well, he was just asking me to read a book, right?
What was this book, sir? You need a spoiler alert?
Well, so this is where I'm like, I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about and not allowed to talk about yet. So I have to go.
Who has control over your voice?
No one has control. What do you mean?
Like, what's the deciding factor if you're allowed to talk about it or not?
Well, so there was like a process to go through on the reintegration. Like it was a predefined thing, and they had me So I had talked to them about part of the consciousness hacking wound up being related to what do they call that? Hypnosis. And so we started doing a hypnosis experiment with it, where I had to like memorize all of the like rules and commands and like all this stuff, but then also try to forget it. So I wasn't allowed to write it down. So I had to like memorize it up to a point where I could recite enough of it back. And then I had to engage in a type of self-hypnosis to hide the data so that I wouldn't be able to find it until a predetermined amount of time had passed. and that I would come across these
Please
triggers.
describe the self-hypnosis procedure they taught you.
Well, they didn't teach me the self-hypnosis methods. That was part of what I was already working on before I met them.
But they told you how to use it.
No, they recommended that we utilize it in the
For
plans.
getting what you just memorized, you said.
Yeah, for saying that, right, I could make the
So
information
basically,
available.
to put your memory in a time safe.
Correct.
So okay, I'm gonna be a sleeper agent. When's the time lock go off?
Well, that's why I say there's like this like special sequence that was going on during Advent, and that was Advent of this year. So this is like us going through it, and then as part of it, I wasn't allowed on, like I couldn't. There were a whole bunch of restrictions, but
how do you receive the restrictions?
So at the original time of coming up with the plan, that was when I found out like what all the restrictions. But like I said, I had that guy who was helping me, and so he like knew all the rules, but he was like in a privileged position where even though he knew all the stuff I was supposed to forget, he was still just giving me like guidance, but in compliance with what the larger structure wanted. So he was like helping me learn and teaching.
You
me
had
things.
to trust that he had accurate information with what the larger structure wanted. You're basically your handler.
Correct. And like the whole time from the start, a lot of this was really based around trust. But I knew I had this new math that I wanted to teach to people. And so these guys were like, yeah, I think we know what you're talking about and we're here to help you. So, they sort of approached me, but at the same time,
and now you're restricted and you can't do this, and they want you to do that. And all right. So here we are. You're memorizing and then time locking commands until this Advent. And then this Advent here. What's happened? So what's the first thing that unlocked when Advent this year started?
What really helped me remember that all this was going on, because basically I had this like driving force nonstop for like 12 years, but I didn't know what it was for. It was just, anyway. When I started to unlock it was when we started memeing pretty hard, and I found myself going into this fasting state. And that was one of the instructions that was given, like pre-hypnosis, was that when it was the year we were actually going to do it, that I would remember it was happening because I would hit a point where I could barely eat. And the other thing I should add in is that they had someone with them who was claiming to be a psychic, who was describing it working similar to how the movie Interstellar works. But anyway, they were like, had somebody in the future, like guiding the steps on like, these are what people will remember and forget. And like, so they were like essentially looking ahead in time, and they gave like these crazy facts and information and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, the first step that I felt while we were doing was going into the fasting state, and I was fasting for maybe like 7 weeks straight.
I can't even do 3 days, bro. So you're in the fasting state. What's going on there? This is how long ago?
I would say I've just started falling out of the fasting state a couple of days ago. That was part of why I felt like it was going to be an okay time to start coming on camera. So this would have been starting pretty early in November, like a few days into November.
All right. So commands are unlocking.
Commands were definitely unlocking.
Well, that was state. What are you bringing us from this fasting state? And quick question: was the fusion announcement at all involved?
I don't know. Maybe, because we could go over that in a minute. What was the other question?
Like, you're coming to my channel with all this information from the 7 weeks fasting state.
So a lot of a lot of what was going on during that fasting state was just remembering all the steps that we had to go through and getting everyone in this kind of like participation whirlwind. So
in what?
Whirlwind? Just
Whirlwind.
getting it up and kind of running, where these people are choosing to participate in conversation, that they're choosing to make memes, that they're choosing to ask questions and provide answers. Just the fact that they're choosing to work together, even if they don't know what it is that they're doing or what the target is, but you know, like normally people won't ever do anything together in modern times unless there's a paycheck involved. Like we don't have our local sense of community. We don't have like all those.
We're past that now.
Well, I'm just saying that in the new model, it's a big accomplishment just to get people choosing to work together voluntarily for anything. It could be like the smallest thing, but just.
I see it happen so much for me not to. I mean, I don't disagree, but I've seen otherwise.
What do you mean, people working together?
Like I've witnessed the spontaneous emergence of collaboration all over the place. So, but yes, it is rare among the herd.
Rare among the herd, but also would you agree that within TLC, that sort of spontaneous, let's call it spontaneous combustion that's occurring, that it has the potential to turn into something much more, because the audience that's involved in it is unique.
The best way still for me to envision what you're speaking of is from when me and Sally talked about the Fringe Nexus Cafe, except instead of it being a cafe on the road to the hop fibrillation, the cafe is the corner. And the corner is a lot like Paul's little, like everybody's holding up these flags, except the flags are the channels. And it's kind of like a nomadic tribe or a flotilla on the ocean more than an actual corner, despite what we call it. But yeah, I see it as that. And to the extent that it's done that for me, and it's come from this little cafe to a place that's like a flotilla, the Metanoia Marina is actually my favorite visualization of it at the moment. But that it's grown as a place in that way for me, it's easy for me to see it to keep growing as a place, but I'm not sure if what I see as growth is the same snowball type thing you're speaking of.
I mean, maybe it's that I'm seeing a potential turn into a reality that hasn't happened yet. So could we agree that the potential is there, that it could turn into something larger?
I'm pushing for a lobster monkey army, the agency, the hog farm. I got all sorts of stuff that I see the potential of manifesting. So, but it's like all of that happens within the context of the spirit of the place. And it's still grim in the corner and those people, and they might run off and then come back. You know what I mean? That's not like the corner is the place these things are happening, but it's not the happening, other than that it's a place is a happening.
Well, I think part of it is set up to be the place where the happening is going to happen. So maybe we should talk about getting to the point where the TLC was a thing. So maybe more recent history.
Well, it's like Vervaeke barely acknowledges it's a thing. Pajot, I don't think publicly does. Other than Thunder Bay, he did. I don't know. I think he's distanced himself. So it's like
Right, but remember the wave one that came through that you guys were talking about before our
Mhm.
Bridges of Meaning server got set up, and all those people that came in, and it seemed like there was something going on with that.
Yes, all those. That's yes.
So the thing I was talking about at the beginning, those are those people. I went to go set off a whole bunch of signal flares, basically, like dog whistles, but just
Not for dogs.
yeah. And I think it worked where a whole bunch of people popped up through coming in, and it was originally pointed at Peugeot, and then it was going to see what fell into place. Right? It's kind of like you just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks. So what that was ultimately filtered down into what became the TLC. And those people that were involved in taking Bridges of Meaning from 0 to 100 real quick, that's a part of the thing I was talking about at the beginning.
I try to make it clear that there is no agency and it's all just people LARPing, to remind all the agents around here that they're actually just people. And so that's not far-fetched for me in the slightest.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm just happy that everything seems to have progressed the way that it did, that a lot of people on the internet have been signaling and saying this seems like it's the advent to go forward. And there's a lot of people that have been preparing for it. So in that way, it's sort of like everyone just kind of like built their own little thing and then wanted to set them all off at the same time. Because
it'll be a thing to watch then.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how far it keeps going. It's been really cool watching the Twitter files. It was awesome watching all the people have the freedom riots in China. There were a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of like the movie Hackers. You remember the ending of that, where they just set off a million things all at once?
No, that one didn't stick very hard. But well, that was an interesting and fun story.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I would say I'm going to keep doing what I can and trying to bounce stuff around and hopefully see if some of the other people that are involved want to start showing up. There's also one of the things that they told me was about the creation of this new game. And I did think of it pretty recently. So in the future, if you want to go over that, we can. But I won't take up any more of your time.
If we're gonna continue our relationship, we're gonna have to give you some cutesy nickname or something. I can't talk to people that look like humans with God's names.
I mean, so I don't know that's
something else. You're welcome to keep showing up on the screens as that and all, but I have to.
But you could just call me by my name. It's Shane.
Oh, you're Shane. Shane. Okay, there's a couple of those around here. So, but I'm glad you came on. This was fascinating, and I hope they don't kill you for it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, you know what we got going for us is that everything is in such a state of not working that something has to happen to fix it. So where normally you'd have one side just wanting to be like, okay, well, we're going to just be totally focused on maintaining control, and we'll take any action that we possibly can in order to stay in control because everything is so fundamentally broken right now and they can't fix it. I think that they're going to be a lot more open to people coming together on the internet and solving some really big problems. So hopefully that helps.
I'm optimistic, actually. So, Shane, thank you for coming in.
Hey, Grizz, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna run a clip of something and then go over the Shepherdy thing real quick. Wow, that was quite the segment. Quite the segment there. I need to. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe. Get saved today. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. Wait, get off of it. Yeah. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal of production executives who make this and all my streams possible. No. It's gonna happen again, Chad. The Shepherdy thing. He said it's almost done. I mean, from what I've seen of it, right? We're looking into like why there's like E equals MC squared and a bunch of empty ones. See, I think the problem was his ask was too big. Like he was like for people to participate, they had to go there and put in the thing, and like one of these categories should have just been the PVK's bingo card with like Peterson, New Jersey, Dominican Republic, simple ones like that, and then we get just you go through all the channels. There's probably 2 different, right? But the call for regular people to play along to making this thing should have been limited to like shoot a 1 question and answer as a DM or an email or on Discord, or we could have set up a room for it. Like having people go to a website and put in a password, that's way too high of a participatory bar for a call to action. At least in olden times, that may be changing. I've got people making clips and dropping them off in the clip stream, part of the reaping rooms. I'll be right there, Sylvia. Does anyone know what he's talking about? Clipped from our good friends Jacob and Mark and Chezi.
Jacob, I had to hop in because I owe you an apology, and I wanted to make sure I got that in.
You owe me an apology.
I do. I didn't take seriously enough your thesis that there were bad actors out there sort of poisoning the well at Bridges of Meaning. And it didn't really become clear to me that definitely, so the same pattern that played out on Awakening from the Meaning Crisis is playing out there too. And probably from the same bad actor even, but whatever, doesn't really matter. So I'm still in slight disagreement that it's, some left-wing Antifa sort of thing. But there were definitely people spreading vicious rumors and lies, non-confrontational. We know this is true, even though we've never asked anybody about it or challenged the narrative.
Whoa, people spreading nefarious character assassination.
But there were definitely people spreading vicious rumors and lies, non-confrontational. We know this is true, even though we've never asked anybody about it or challenged the narrative. So I wanted to give you, that apology, because I did not take that seriously enough, and now it's very clear to me that definitely happened to a degree that I didn't think possible.
Oh, so I've got people saying
says, I feel
there's infiltrators on my stream, and Mark being pressured by infiltrators.
Completely oblivious to this drama. Well, this is how good relational aggression works. It's behind the scenes. And the fact is that sometimes ignoring it and being oblivious does work, but good relational aggression
I know nothing about that. I would say that Mark has made an accusation that there are destructive forces at play. I've experienced some of that, but I don't. Anyway, I don't know. That's been plenty of a show for everyone, right? All right.
Do you have anything you want to say in conclusion?
So yeah, the Beggar and the Fountain, man. I don't know. It's apparently some pre-Kabbalah thing, and I'm curious as all get out about it. That's that. There's that part. The second part was about participation, but it was let's see. Actually, let's do that bit. I'm so tired of having open tabs, man, that it's worthwhile to go through all of this stuff, even though I'm stretching you to your limits of dealing with my nonsense, I'm sure. Don't forget, here's that icon of Ask Kesha, please, with the single snake, the only valid blah blah for medicine. And there's the Shepherdy, and there's that clip. Oh, here's my clips. Here's my clips.
We're all dealing
Share.
with
the shared it. This one. Oh yeah, present. Share screen. Brave tab. That one. Do it.
we're all dealing with the recession of modernity together. So yeah, we've got videos. We've got conversations. We're doing our own little work over here in our little corner. We're all dealing.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Leave a comment.